My name is Jake Morrison, and for the past 3 years I watched my sister-in-law Rachel transform from a part-time customer service representative into the golden child of our family's commercial cleaning supply business, while I remained stuck managing inventory in a warehouse that smelled perpetually of industrial disinfectant and floor wax. What nobody at Morrison Supply Solutions knew was that every evening, after counting cases of toilet paper and tracking shipments of sanitizer, I was building a revolutionary facility management software platform that would eventually serve over 200 commercial properties and generate $3.2 million in annual recurring revenue. The day Rachel announced her promotion to operations director and declared me the most challenging internal customer she'd ever had to manage, I was signing a partnership agreement with the largest hotel chain in the Southwest to implement my software across their entire portfolio. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The fluorescent lights of Morrison Supply Solutions buzzed with the same monotonous frequency every morning as I arrived at 6:30, 2 hours before anyone else bothered to show up. The warehouse stretched across 15,000 square feet of concrete and steel shelving, filled with everything from industrial vacuum cleaners to specialized bathroom tissue dispensers. My father-in-law, Tom Morrison, had built this empire from a single delivery truck 25 years ago, and now it supplied cleaning materials to half the commercial buildings in Phoenix. I parked my aging Honda Civic next to the loading dock, the same spot I'd occupied for 8 years, ever since marrying Emily and joining what was supposed to be our family business. The irony wasn't lost on me that while Rachel drove her new BMW SUV courtesy of her latest promotion, I was still making payments on a car with 180,000 miles and a air conditioning system that worked sporadically in the Arizona heat. The morning routine had become as predictable as sunrise over Camelback Mountain. Check overnight delivery confirmations. Review inventory levels that had dropped below reorder points. Coordinate with drivers about route optimizations that could save the company thousands but somehow never translated into recognition for the person suggesting them. By the time Rachel arrived at 9, usually carrying a venti caramel macchiato and discussing client strategy with whoever would listen, I had already solved 3 logistics problems and prevented 2 potential stockouts that could have cost major accounts. Emily often asked why I seemed frustrated with my role at Morrison Supply, especially since her father had been generous with my salary and benefits. What she didn't understand was that being grateful for a position and being fulfilled by it were entirely different things. Tom Morrison saw me as reliable, dependable, someone who could maintain operations while others focused on growth and innovation. He appreciated my organizational skills and attention to detail, but those same qualities seemed to disqualify me from strategic conversations about the company's future. Rachel's trajectory had been entirely different from the moment she joined the company 2 years ago. Where I had started in the warehouse and gradually earned responsibility for inventory management, she had been immediately placed in customer-facing roles where her natural charisma could shine. Her background in hospitality management, combined with an MBA from Arizona State University, positioned her as exactly the kind of forward-thinking professional Tom believed Morrison Supply needed to compete with larger national distributors. The contrast became particularly obvious during monthly staff meetings held in the cramped conference room adjacent to Tom's office. Rachel would present customer satisfaction metrics, retention strategies, and expansion opportunities with the kind of confident authority that commanded attention. When my turn came to discuss inventory optimization, cost savings, or operational efficiencies, the room's energy would shift to polite but disengaged listening. My contributions were acknowledged with nods and brief comments about keeping things running smoothly. Then the conversation would quickly return to Rachel's more exciting strategic initiatives. The breaking point came during a particularly difficult week in March, when one of our largest clients, Desert Vista Medical Center, experienced a critical shortage of surgical cleaning supplies due to a delayed shipment from our primary vendor. I had identified the potential problem 4 days earlier when reviewing delivery schedules and vendor reliability data, but my request to expedite alternative sourcing had been labeled as unnecessary micromanagement. When the shortage occurred, it triggered a crisis that threatened our relationship with a client worth over $200,000 annually. While Tom and Rachel conducted damage control meetings with Desert Vista's facilities management team, I worked directly with 3 alternative suppliers to coordinate an emergency delivery that would arrive within 18 hours, instead of the standard 5-day lead time. The solution required leveraging relationships I had built with vendors over years of consistent, reliable interactions, combined with a deep understanding of product specifications and compatibility requirements. The emergency delivery arrived exactly on schedule, preventing Desert Vista from having to postpone non-critical procedures and maintaining our contract relationship. During the following week's staff meeting, Tom praised the team's quick response to the crisis, specifically highlighting Rachel's client communication and relationship management. My role in identifying the problem early and coordinating the actual solution was mentioned briefly as, quote, follow-through from our logistics team. That evening, sitting in the converted workshop behind our house in Tempe, I made a decision that would fundamentally change everything. If Morrison Supply couldn't recognize the strategic value of operational insight, I would prove that value somewhere else. The workshop had originally been Emily's pottery studio, but she had abandoned the hobby after starting her career as a pediatric nurse. With her permission, I had gradually transformed the space into a combination office and development laboratory, complete with multiple computer monitors, an industrial-grade internet connection, and enough whiteboard space to map complex systems. My first software concept emerged directly from the frustration of that Desert Vista crisis. Every day at Morrison Supply, I observed inefficiencies in how commercial properties managed their cleaning and maintenance operations. Facilities managers relied on outdated systems for inventory tracking, vendor coordination, and preventative maintenance scheduling. They ordered supplies reactively rather than predictively, often resulting in emergency shortages or excessive overstock situations that tied up capital unnecessarily. What if there was a software platform that could integrate all aspects of facility management into a single, intelligent system? Something that could predict cleaning supply needs based on building occupancy patterns, seasonal variations, and historical usage data. A system that could automatically coordinate with multiple vendors, compare pricing and availability in real time, and optimize delivery schedules to minimize costs while ensuring uninterrupted operations. I began coding the initial prototype during evening hours and weekends, working primarily in Python and JavaScript to create a web-based application that could be accessed from any device. The interface needed to be intuitive enough for busy facilities managers, while sophisticated enough to handle complex optimization algorithms running in the background. I called the platform CleanTech Solutions, deliberately choosing a name that reflected its practical focus rather than trendy startup terminology. The first challenge was understanding exactly how facilities managers actually worked, beyond what I observed through Morrison Supply's customer interactions. I began reaching out to contacts at our client locations, positioning myself as researching potential service improvements. These conversations revealed a consistent pattern of frustration with existing systems that were either too expensive, too complicated, or too limited in functionality. Sarah Martinez, the facilities director at Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport, explained during one phone call how she managed cleaning operations across 4 terminals with a combination of Excel spreadsheets, paper logs, and 3 different vendor portals. Every morning, I spend 2 hours just figuring out what supplies we need, what's already been ordered, and whether deliveries are on schedule, she said. By the time I finish that administrative work, half my day is gone, and I haven't actually improved anything. These insights shaped CleanTech Solutions' core functionality around automation and predictive analytics, rather than just digital record-keeping. The platform would learn from historical data to anticipate needs, automatically generate purchase orders when inventory dropped below optimized thresholds, and provide real-time visibility into the entire supply chain from vendors to end users. Development progressed steadily through the summer months, as I refined algorithms and tested functionality with a small group of beta users who believed they were helping Morrison Supply evaluate potential technology investments. Carlos Rodriguez, our warehouse supervisor, and one of the few people at the company who genuinely appreciated my problem-solving approach, unknowingly provided valuable feedback by describing recurring challenges in our own operations. The biggest problem, Carlos mentioned during one of our regular inventory review sessions, is that we're always guessing about demand. Some weeks we're scrambling to fulfill orders, other weeks we're sitting on excess inventory that ties up cash flow. If we could predict customer needs more accurately, we could optimize purchasing and reduce costs significantly. His observation became a central feature of CleanTech Solutions. The platform would analyze patterns in customer ordering behavior, facility occupancy rates, seasonal variations, and even local events that might impact cleaning supply usage. Hotels would need additional supplies during convention periods, medical facilities would increase usage during flu seasons, and office buildings would require different cleaning protocols based on occupancy levels. By September, CleanTech Solutions had evolved from concept to functional prototype, with 3 beta clients providing real-world testing data. The Desert Vista Medical Center facilities team had agreed to participate after I approached them about helping Morrison Supply better understand customer needs. Their initial results showed a 23% reduction in emergency supply orders and a 15% decrease in overall inventory costs, precisely the kind of metrics that would resonate with facilities managers facing budget pressures. The irony of using Morrison Supply's own client relationships to develop competing technology wasn't lost on me, but I justified it as legitimate market research that could ultimately benefit our family business. If CleanTech Solutions proved successful, Morrison Supply could potentially become an early implementation partner, leveraging the technology to provide enhanced services to their existing customer base. October brought the first significant external validation when Dr. Michelle Park, a facilities management consultant who worked with major healthcare systems throughout the Southwest, agreed to evaluate CleanTech Solutions for potential recommendation to her clients. Dr. Park had built her reputation by identifying innovative approaches to operational efficiency, and her endorsement could open doors to enterprise-level implementations. This platform addresses fundamental problems that have persisted in facilities management for decades, Dr. Park noted after reviewing our beta test results. The combination of predictive analytics, vendor integration, and cost optimization could transform how commercial properties approach maintenance and supply management. You're not just digitizing existing processes, you're reimagining how these operations should function. Her assessment validated what I had suspected but couldn't prove from my limited perspective within Morrison Supply. The inefficiencies. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. I observed daily weren't unique to our customer base or geographic region. They represented systemic challenges affecting facilities managers across industries and markets, creating opportunities for technology solutions that could scale far beyond Arizona. With Dr. Park's guidance, I began developing a formal business plan for CleanTech Solutions that positioned the platform as enterprise software serving commercial properties with complex facilities management needs. The addressable market included hotels, hospitals, office complexes, educational institutions, and retail centers, essentially any organization that required systematic cleaning and maintenance operations. The financial projections were conservative but compelling. Even capturing a small percentage of facilities management technology spending in the Southwest region could generate millions in annual recurring revenue. As the platform proved its value and gained customer references, expansion into other geographic markets would become feasible, potentially creating a national business with significant value. November marked a crucial transition as CleanTech Solutions moved beyond prototype development toward commercial readiness. I hired my first contractor, David Chen, a user experience designer who had previously worked with enterprise software companies. David's role was to ensure the platform interface would meet the demanding requirements of busy facilities managers who needed immediate access to critical information without navigating complex menu systems. Working with David required careful scheduling around my Morrison Supply responsibilities, but his expertise proved invaluable in refining functionality that I had developed from a technical rather than user-centric perspective. The revised interface emphasized visual dashboards, automated alerts, and mobile accessibility, recognizing that facilities managers often worked throughout their buildings rather than at desk computers. December brought CleanTech Solutions' first paying customer when Phoenix Convention Center agreed to implement the platform across their entire facility management operation. The 6-month contract included setup, training, and ongoing support for $15,000, modest compensation that reflected our startup status, but provided crucial revenue and reference credibility for future sales efforts. The convention center implementation required significant evening and weekend work to ensure successful deployment without interfering with my Morrison supply schedule. Emily noticed the additional time commitment, but accepted my explanation that I was consulting on technology projects to supplement our income. She appreciated the extra money, especially with her student loan payments and our mortgage, and didn't question the specifics of what I was actually building. As 2023 ended, Cleantech Solutions had evolved from frustration-driven concept to legitimate business opportunity with paying customers, proven technology, and validated market demand. Yet at Morrison Supply, I remained Jake, the inventory coordinator, who kept things running smoothly while others focused on strategic growth and customer relationships. The disconnect between my hidden achievements and perceived capabilities created internal tension that became increasingly difficult to manage. Rachel's promotion to Customer Success Manager in January 2024 amplified this tension significantly. Her new role included oversight responsibility for internal efficiency initiatives, essentially making her my supervisor for projects aimed at improving Morrison Supply's operational effectiveness. The irony was perfect. The person who had benefited from every advancement opportunity was now positioned to evaluate and direct the work of someone who had been developing revolutionary improvements in secret. Our first formal interaction in her new capacity occurred during a February meeting about warehouse optimization initiatives. Tom had tasked Rachel with identifying opportunities to reduce operational costs and improve delivery efficiency, exactly the kind of challenges I had been addressing through Cleantech Solutions development. Jake, I need you to help me understand current inventory management processes and identify areas where we might implement improvements, Rachel announced with the confident authority of someone who had recently completed a leadership development program. Tom wants comprehensive recommendations by the end of March, and I'm counting on your operational knowledge to support this analysis. The request put me in an impossible position. I possessed extensive insights about operational optimization, gained through months of developing solutions for Cleantech Solutions clients. But sharing those insights would require explaining how I had acquired such detailed knowledge of facilities management best practices. Instead, I provided general observations about workflow inefficiencies and vendor coordination challenges, carefully avoiding anything that might reveal the depth of my expertise. Rachel's follow-up questions demonstrated her genuine intelligence and business acumen, but also highlighted the fundamental difference in our perspectives. She approached operational challenges from a theoretical framework learned through her MBA coursework and management training, while I understood these issues through practical experience and direct problem solving. Her solutions tended toward process improvement and communication enhancement, while my thinking naturally gravitated toward systematic, technological transformation. I think we need to focus on better vendor relationships and more structured communication protocols, Rachel concluded after reviewing my initial input. If we can standardize our ordering processes and improve coordination between departments, we should see significant efficiency gains without major capital investment. Her recommendations weren't wrong, but they addressed symptoms rather than underlying systemic issues. Morrison Supply's challenges couldn't be resolved through better communication or refined procedures. They required the kind of technological integration that I had been developing through Cleantech Solutions, but suggesting such approaches would inevitably lead to questions about my knowledge source. March brought escalating tension as Rachel's optimization project moved toward implementation. Her proposals focused heavily on employee accountability measures, standardized procedures, and performance metrics designed to identify inefficiencies in current operations. While these changes might produce marginal improvements, they completely missed opportunities for transformative enhancement through technology integration. During one particularly frustrating meeting, Rachel presented her final recommendations to Tom and the senior staff, emphasizing cost control and process standardization as keys to competitive advantage. When she opened the floor for questions and feedback, I found myself facing a choice between silent acquiescence and potentially revealing expertise that couldn't be easily explained. These are solid operational improvements, I acknowledged carefully, but I think we might be missing opportunities for more significant efficiency gains through technology integration. Many of our competitors are leveraging predictive analytics and automated systems to optimize inventory management and vendor coordination. Rachel's expression shifted slightly, registering surprise at the specificity of my observation. That's an interesting perspective, Jake. Do you have experience with these kinds of technology implementations? The question hung in the air like a challenge, loaded with implications I couldn't fully address without exposing cleantech solutions. I've been researching industry trends and competitive analysis, I replied, which was technically accurate, but deliberately incomplete. I think we should consider evaluating enterprise software options that could transform our operational capabilities rather than just improving existing processes. Tom nodded thoughtfully, apparently intrigued by the possibility of technological advancement, but Rachel's response was more skeptical. Technology solutions require significant capital investment and implementation risk, she countered. The approaches I'm recommending can be implemented immediately, with minimal cost and proven effectiveness. Her dismissal of technology integration as risky and expensive revealed exactly the kind of limited thinking that had created opportunities for cleantech solutions in the first place. Organizations that viewed operational technology as cost centers rather than competitive advantages would inevitably fall behind competitors who embraced systematic innovation. April marked cleantech solutions' most significant milestone when Southwestern University agreed to implement the platform across their entire campus facilities management operation. The 18-month contract was worth $85,000 and included comprehensive integration with their existing maintenance management systems, representing both substantial revenue and proof that the platform could handle complex enterprise requirements. The university implementation required developing new functionality for educational institutions, including integration with academic calendar systems to predict cleaning supply needs based on enrollment patterns, dormitory occupancy rates, and special events. This customization work pushed cleantech solutions' capabilities beyond basic commercial facilities management towards sophisticated predictive analytics that could adapt to any organization's unique operational patterns. Managing the university project while maintaining my Morrison Supply responsibilities required careful time management and occasional creativity in explaining my schedule to Emily and Tom. I positioned the additional evening and weekend work as freelance consulting that supplemented our household income, which was becoming increasingly important as we considered starting a family and potentially purchasing a larger home. Emily appreciated the extra income, but occasionally expressed concern about my work-life balance. "You're spending a lot of time on these consulting projects," she mentioned one evening, as I prepared to return to the workshop for a client video conference. "I hope you're not taking on more than you can handle alongside your responsibilities at Morrison Supply." Her concern was valid, but I couldn't explain that the consulting work had evolved into something far more significant than supplemental income. Cleantech Solutions was rapidly becoming a legitimate business, with genuine potential for substantial growth and value creation. The platform now served 6 commercial properties with a combined annual contract value exceeding $150,000, and the pipeline of prospective clients continued expanding through referrals and Dr. Park's recommendations. May brought an unexpected complication when Rachel announced her engagement to Marcus Torres, a commercial real estate developer who specialized in hospitality properties. The engagement wasn't problematic in itself, but Marcus's business connections included several cleantech solutions prospects that I had been cultivating through industry networking events and referral relationships. During a family dinner celebrating the engagement, Marcus mentioned his company's challenges with facilities management across their hotel portfolio. "We're always dealing with inefficient cleaning operations and supply chain problems," he explained. "It's one of our biggest operational headaches, especially with properties in different markets that all have unique requirements." The irony was almost unbearable. Marcus was describing exactly the problems that cleantech solutions had been designed to solve, and his hotel portfolio represented the kind of enterprise client that could provide substantial contract value and market credibility. Yet as Jake Morrison, inventory coordinator at Morrison Supply, I couldn't suggest technological solutions without explaining expertise that didn't align with my perceived capabilities. Rachel seized the opportunity to position herself as a problem solver for her future husband, Marcus. "Jake actually has some interesting insights about facilities management optimization," she said, apparently remembering my earlier comments about technology integration. "He's been researching industry trends and might have suggestions for improving your operations." The suggestion put me in an impossible position. Marcus was genuinely interested in solutions to his facilities management challenges, and I possessed exactly the technology platform that could address his needs. But connecting Marcus with Cleantech Solutions would inevitably reveal my role in developing the platform, exposing the secret business I had been building for over a year. I'd be happy to discuss general industry trends, I replied carefully. But your challenges sound complex enough that you might benefit from consulting with specialized experts rather than relying on my limited knowledge. Marcus persisted with specific questions about vendor coordination, inventory optimization, and cost control strategies, topics where my expertise was extensive but difficult to explain credibly. I provided general observations and suggested he consider evaluating technology platforms that offered integrated facilities management solutions, stopping short of recommending Cleantech Solutions directly. The conversation reinforced my growing recognition that maintaining the separation between Jake Morrison and Cleantech Solutions was becoming increasingly difficult and potentially counterproductive. The business had evolved beyond hobby project status toward legitimate enterprise software with genuine market value, but leveraging that value required public acknowledgement of my role as founder and primary developer. June brought validation of Cleantech Solutions' market positioning when the platform was featured in Facilities Management Weekly as an innovative approach to operational optimization. The article highlighted our predictive analytics capabilities, vendor integration functionality, and cost reduction achievements with early clients, positioning Cleantech Solutions among emerging technologies that were transforming traditional facilities management approaches. The industry recognition attracted attention from potential clients, strategic partners, and even acquisition-interested companies. But it also created risk that someone at Morrison Supply might notice the article and recognize connections to my consulting work. I had provided quotes for the article under my real name, describing Cleantech Solutions' development philosophy and market vision, making my identity as founder clearly established in public records. Dr. Park contacted me immediately after the article's publication. This kind of industry recognition could accelerate your growth significantly, she noted during our phone conversation. You should consider whether maintaining stealth mode is still strategically appropriate, especially if you're planning to pursue venture capital or strategic partnerships. Her observation forced me to confront a decision I had been avoiding. Cleantech Solutions had evolved beyond side project status toward the kind of business opportunity that required full commitment and public identity. Continued growth would necessitate sales meetings, conference presentations, and industry networking that couldn't be conducted secretly from Morrison Supply's warehouse office. The decision point came in early July when Cleantech Solutions received an unsolicited acquisition inquiry from a national facilities management company that had learned about our platform through the Facilities Management Weekly article. The preliminary offer suggested a valuation range that would provide substantial financial return while positioning the platform for accelerated market expansion through their existing client relationships. Evaluating the acquisition opportunity required legal and financial expertise beyond my capabilities, necessitating professional consultation that would formalize Cleantech Solutions as a legitimate business entity rather than a consulting project. The process would inevitably create public records and professional relationships that could be discovered by anyone sufficiently motivated to investigate my activities outside Morrison Supply. As July ended and Cleantech Solutions approached its first anniversary of commercial operations, I faced the reality that my dual professional identity was no longer sustainable. The secret business had grown beyond what could be concealed indefinitely, and continued expansion required acknowledgement of my role as founder, developer, and primary strategist for a technology platform that was transforming facilities management operations across the Southwest. The question was no longer whether Morrison Supply would discover Cleantech Solutions, but how that discovery would occur and what consequences would follow. Rachel's increasing oversight of operational efficiency initiatives, combined with her engagement to Marcus and his facilities management challenges, created multiple pathways for accidental revelation that I could no longer control or prevent. The stage was set for a confrontation that would test family relationships, business partnerships, and my own courage to stand fully in the truth of what I had created, while everyone around me continued to see only the reliable inventory coordinator who kept Morrison Supply's warehouse running smoothly. The Morrison family dynamics had been established long before I married Emily, rooted in expectations and hierarchies that seemed as permanent as the desert mountains surrounding Phoenix. Tom Morrison ruled his business empire with the kind of confident authority that comes from building something substantial from nothing. But his leadership style favored charisma and vision over operational excellence. He had always been drawn to people who could articulate grand strategies and inspire customer confidence, qualities that came naturally to Rachel but had never been my strongest attributes. Linda Morrison, Tom's second wife and stepmother to Emily and Rachel, served as the family's diplomatic coordinator, smoothing tensions and maintaining harmony through careful attention to everyone's emotional needs. She had joined the family when Emily was 12 and Rachel was 15, bringing organizational skills and social intelligence that complemented Tom's more direct business approach. Linda genuinely cared about family unity, but her peacekeeping instincts sometimes meant avoiding difficult conversations about fairness or recognition. The Morrison Supply Solutions headquarters occupied a sprawling complex in the industrial corridor near Sky Harbor Airport, strategically positioned for efficient distribution throughout the Southwest region. The main building housed administrative offices, customer service operations, and a showroom where potential clients could examine cleaning equipment and supply samples. Behind the main structure, 3 warehouse buildings contained inventory worth over $2 million. Representing relationships with dozens of manufacturers and suppliers across multiple product categories. My workspace existed in the functional heart of the operation, a combination office and command center overlooking the primary warehouse floor. 2 large windows provided visibility into the constant activity below, where forklifts moved pallets of industrial cleaning supplies and workers prepared orders for delivery throughout the Phoenix metropolitan area. The space reflected purely practical concerns with metal furniture, industrial lighting, and walls covered with inventory charts, delivery schedules, and vendor contact information. Rachel's office, by contrast, occupied prime real estate in the main building's customer-facing area, with modern furniture, professional artwork, and a conference table where she conducted client meetings and strategic planning sessions. The physical separation between our workspaces reinforced the operational hierarchy that positioned her as a strategic leader, while I remained focused on behind-the-scenes logistics coordination. The daily rhythm at Morrison Supply reflected this division of responsibilities clearly. Rachel would arrive mid-morning after checking emails and preparing for client meetings, spending her time on relationship management, contract negotiations, and business development initiatives. Her calendar filled with lunch meetings, site visits, and conference calls with decision-makers at major accounts. Meanwhile, I would have already completed inventory reviews, coordinated with vendors about delivery schedules, and resolved any overnight issues that might affect customer satisfaction. Our interaction patterns had evolved over the 3 years since Rachel joined the company. Generally cordial, but professionally distant. She acknowledged my operational competence, while focusing her attention on people who could advance her strategic objectives. I respected her business development skills, while privately questioning some of her operational assumptions. We functioned as colleagues with clearly defined roles, rather than collaborators working towards shared goals. The broader Morrison Supply culture reflected Tom's personality and business philosophy, emphasizing customer service, reliability, and steady growth over innovation or technological advancement. Employees who had been with the company for many years appreciated the stability and predictable advancement opportunities, while newer hires often brought fresh perspectives that sometimes clashed with established approaches. Carlos Rodriguez represented the best aspects of Morrison Supply's culture, combining deep operational knowledge with genuine commitment to customer satisfaction. He had started as a delivery driver 15 years earlier and gradually earned responsibility for warehouse coordination through consistent performance and practical problem-solving skills. Carlos understood the daily challenges of moving thousands of pounds of cleaning supplies efficiently while maintaining accuracy and meeting delivery deadlines. Our relationship had developed into genuine mutual respect based on shared appreciation for operational excellence. Carlos valued my analytical approach to inventory optimization and vendor coordination, while I learned from his practical experience with customer needs and logistical constraints. He was one of the few people at Morrison Supply who regularly sought my input on strategic questions, rather than just operational details. The problem with this business, Carlos had mentioned during one of our regular inventory planning sessions, is that we're always reacting instead of anticipating. Customers call when they're almost out of supplies, vendors deliver when it's convenient for them, and we scramble to make everything work. There has to be a better way to coordinate all these moving pieces. His observation had become foundational to Cleantech Solutions' development philosophy, recognizing that facilities management challenges required systematic coordination rather than reactive problem solving. The platform's predictive analytics capabilities emerged directly from conversations with Carlos about the disconnect between customer needs and supplier capabilities. Tom Morrison's leadership style created opportunities for people who could present ideas confidently and align their proposals with his vision for company growth. He responded positively to strategic thinking that emphasized market expansion, customer acquisition, and competitive positioning. Operational improvements that focused on cost reduction or efficiency enhancement received polite acknowledgement, but rarely generated the kind of enthusiasm that led to significant recognition or advancement. This preference for vision over execution had shaped Rachel's rapid advancement within the company's structure. Her MBA background provided the analytical framework to present ideas in business school terminology that resonated with Tom's own educational experience. She could discuss market segmentation, competitive differentiation, and strategic positioning with the kind of confidence that impressed both clients and colleagues. My background in business administration provided similar analytical capabilities, but I had never developed the presentation skills or strategic vocabulary that commanded attention in Morrison Supply's culture. My contributions tended toward detailed operational analysis and practical problem solving rather than inspirational vision casting. These differences in communication style contributed to the perception that Rachel was naturally suited for leadership, while I was better positioned for execution and support. The family dinner conversations that occurred monthly at Tom and Linda's Scottsdale home reinforced these professional dynamics through casual interaction patterns. Rachel would share stories about successful client meetings, challenging negotiations, and strategic opportunities she was pursuing. Emily would discuss her nursing career and the satisfaction of helping pediatric patients. I would provide brief updates about operational improvements at Morrison Supply, while mostly listening to others' more engaging professional experiences. Linda Morrison had established these family gatherings as opportunities to maintain connection despite everyone's busy schedules. But the conversations naturally gravitated toward achievements and challenges that generated interesting discussion. Inventory optimization and vendor coordination, while essential to Morrison Supply's success, didn't create the kind of compelling narratives that energized family dinner conversation. The broader Phoenix business community provided context for Morrison Supply's market position and competitive challenges. The region's continued population growth created expanding demand for commercial cleaning services, but it also attracted national companies with greater resources and technological capabilities. Local businesses like Morrison Supply maintained advantages through personal relationships and regional expertise, but these advantages were gradually being eroded by competitors who offered integrated technology solutions and sophisticated data analytics. Rachel had identified these competitive pressures early in her tenure and positioned herself as the strategic thinker who could help Morrison Supply adapt to changing market conditions. Her recommendations consistently emphasized relationship building, service differentiation, and market positioning strategies that leveraged existing strengths while addressing competitive vulnerabilities. My perspective on these challenges focused more heavily on operational efficiency and technological capability as foundations for competitive advantage. I believed Morrison Supply's long-term success required systematic modernization of inventory management, vendor coordination, and customer service processes. However, advocating for technological investment required demonstrating expertise that I couldn't easily explain without revealing my Cleantech Solutions development work. The tension between these different approaches to business strategy became particularly evident during Morrison Supply's quarterly planning sessions, where Tom would gather senior staff to review performance metrics and establish priorities for the coming months. Rachel's presentations consistently emphasized external opportunities and strategic initiatives, while my contributions focused on internal optimization and operational improvement. We need to think bigger about our market opportunity, Rachel would typically argue during these sessions. Our competitors are expanding into new geographic regions and service categories, while we're focused on maintaining existing operations. Growth requires vision and willingness to take calculated risks. Her arguments carried persuasive logic that appealed to Tom's entrepreneurial instincts and desire for continued expansion. My counter-arguments about foundational operational capabilities and technological infrastructure sounded conservative and limiting by comparison, even though they addressed fundamental requirements for sustainable growth. The disconnect between strategic vision and operational reality became increasingly problematic as Morrison Supply pursued growth initiatives without corresponding investments in the systems and processes needed to support expanded operations. New customer acquisitions strained existing inventory management approaches, vendor relationships, and delivery coordination capabilities. Carlos would privately express frustration about these operational pressures during our warehouse planning sessions. They keep adding new customers and promising faster delivery times, but we're still using the same systems and processes we had when the company was half this size, he would note. Something's going to break if we don't upgrade our capabilities to match our ambitions. His concerns reinforced my conviction that Morrison Supply needed the kind of technological transformation that Cleantech Solutions was providing to other commercial facilities. The platform's inventory optimization algorithms, vendor coordination capabilities, and predictive analytics could address exactly the challenges Carlos identified, but suggesting such solutions would require explaining expertise that didn't align with my perceived role within the company. The family business dynamics were further complicated by Emily's position as Tom's daughter, but not an employee of Morrison Supply. She understood the company's importance to her father and appreciated its role in providing family financial security, but she maintained professional independence through her nursing career. Emily often served as an informal mediator during family discussions about business challenges, bringing an outside perspective that wasn't constrained by internal politics or advancement concerns. Her relationship with Rachel had evolved from typical sisterly rivalry into mutual respect based on their different but complementary strengths. Emily admired Rachel's business acumen and professional confidence, while Rachel respected Emily's dedication to healthcare and her ability to maintain perspective on family priorities beyond business success. Neither sister fully understood the operational details of Morrison Supply, but both recognized its importance to their father's identity and the family's financial future. My position within this family dynamic was simultaneously central and peripheral, important as Emily's husband and Morrison Supply employee, but not fully integrated into the strategic conversations that shaped the company's direction. I possessed detailed knowledge about operational challenges and competitive opportunities, but I lacked the influence or credibility to drive significant changes in approach or investment priorities. The workshop behind our Tempe home had become my refuge from these frustrations, a space where I could apply my analytical capabilities and operational knowledge without the constraints of family expectations or company politics. The converted studio provided both physical separation from Morrison Supply and psychological freedom to think systematically about facilities management challenges without worrying about how my ideas would be received or whether they aligned with established priorities. Emily had initially been puzzled by my interest in transforming her former pottery space into a technical workspace, but she supported the project when I explained it as a combination home office and consulting laboratory. She appreciated having additional household income from my technology consulting work, and the workshop kept my professional projects from spreading throughout our living spaces. The contrast between my constrained role at Morrison Supply and my expansive development work on Cleantech Solutions created internal tension that became increasingly difficult to manage. During the day, I would carefully avoid demonstrating expertise that might generate uncomfortable questions about its source. In the evening, I would develop sophisticated algorithms and interface designs that addressed exactly the problems I observed, but couldn't solve within Morrison Supply's operational framework. This compartmentalization required constant vigilance about what knowledge I displayed in different contexts, and how I explained my growing expertise in areas that weren't traditionally part of inventory coordination responsibilities. The mental energy required to maintain these separate professional identities was exhausting, but it seemed necessary to protect both my family relationships and my emerging business opportunity. As Cleantech Solutions evolved from experimental project toward commercial viability, the workshop had been systematically upgraded with professional-grade equipment, high-speed internet connectivity, and the kind of technical infrastructure needed for enterprise software development. The space now resembled a legitimate startup office more than a hobbyist workshop, but its residential location and after-hours usage kept it invisible to anyone connected with Morrison Supply. The broader Phoenix technology community provided resources and networking opportunities that supported cleantech solutions development, without creating obvious connections to Morrison Supply. Industry meetups, professional conferences, and online communities offered education and relationship-building opportunities where I could develop expertise and credibility under my own name, rather than as a Morrison Supply employee. Dr. Michelle Park had become a crucial advisor and industry connection through her work with healthcare facilities throughout the Southwest region. Her reputation as a facilities management consultant provided credibility and market access that accelerated cleantech solutions' early client acquisition efforts. She understood the practical challenges that commercial properties faced with vendor coordination and inventory optimization, having observed these problems across dozens of organizations throughout her consulting career. The relationship with Dr. Park had developed organically through professional networking rather than Morrison Supply connections, creating a foundation for cleantech solutions that was independent of family business relationships. Her endorsement of the platform's capabilities provided third-party validation that supported sales efforts with prospective clients who might otherwise be skeptical of software developed by a single person working from a converted home workshop. The Phoenix commercial real estate market provided a rich environment for facilities management challenges that cleantech solutions could address effectively. Hotels, medical facilities, office complexes, and educational institutions all required systematic approaches to cleaning supply management, vendor coordination, and operational optimization. The region's continued growth created expanding opportunities for innovative service providers who could demonstrate measurable value through technological capability. Understanding this market context had been essential to positioning cleantech solutions appropriately and identifying the most promising client segments for initial development efforts. Rather than attempting to serve all possible commercial facilities, I had focused platform development on specific property types, where operational challenges were particularly acute, and technological solutions could provide clear competitive advantages. The summer months in Phoenix created additional facilities management challenges that provided opportunities for cleantech solutions to demonstrate value through predictive analytics and automated coordination capabilities. Extreme temperatures increased the importance of reliable air conditioning systems, which required specialized cleaning supplies and maintenance protocols. Tourist season brought fluctuating occupancy levels that affected cleaning supply needs in hotels and entertainment venues. These seasonal variations had become incorporated into cleantech solutions algorithms, enabling the platform to anticipate demand fluctuations and coordinate vendor deliveries accordingly. The capability to predict and prepare for seasonal challenges provided measurable value to facilities managers who had previously relied on reactive approaches to supply management. The competitive landscape in Phoenix included several national facilities management companies with sophisticated technology platforms and substantial resources. But most of these organizations focused on large enterprise clients rather than mid-sized commercial properties. This market gap created opportunities for specialized solutions like cleantech solutions that could provide enterprise-level capabilities to smaller organizations at accessible price points. Morrison Supply competed primarily on relationship strength and service reliability rather than technological capability, which created vulnerability to competitors who offered integrated technology platforms alongside traditional supply services. Rachel had identified this competitive threat and recommended strategic responses that emphasized Morrison Supply's regional expertise and personal service approach. However, her proposed solutions didn't address the fundamental technological disadvantage that allowed competitors to offer superior inventory management, vendor coordination, and cost optimization capabilities. Without systematic investment in technology infrastructure, Morrison Supply would continue losing market share to organizations that provided both traditional services and modern technological tools. The irony of this competitive situation was that I had developed exactly the technological capabilities Morrison Supply needed to address these challenges. But organizational dynamics and family relationships prevented me from proposing cleantech solutions as a potential strategic asset. Instead, I watched Rachel develop defensive strategies that address symptoms rather than underlying technological limitations. As summer transitioned into fall, The contrast between Cleantech Solutions' growing success and Morrison Supply's technological stagnation became increasingly stark. The platform was generating meaningful revenue while solving real problems for commercial facilities, while Morrison Supply continued relying on manual processes and reactive approaches that limited growth potential and competitive positioning. The success of Cleantech Solutions validated my conviction that facilities management represented a significant market opportunity for technological innovation, but it also highlighted the limitations of Morrison Supply's current strategic approach. Without systematic modernization of operational capabilities, the family business would continue struggling against competitors who offered integrated technology solutions alongside traditional supply services. The morning of August 15th started like any other sweltering Phoenix summer day, with temperatures already climbing toward 115 degrees by 8 o'clock. I had arrived at Morrison Supply at my usual time, working through inventory reconciliation reports, while the warehouse remained relatively cool from overnight air conditioning. The climate control systems would struggle throughout the day, creating additional challenges for workers handling temperature-sensitive cleaning chemicals and maintaining productivity despite the oppressive heat. Carlos approached my office around 9:30, with the kind of expression that immediately signaled serious problems. He carried a clipboard with delivery schedules and a printout of overnight email messages, but his body language suggested the issues went beyond routine operational challenges. "We've got a situation developing with the Marriott downtown," he announced without preamble. Their facilities manager called this morning about a major shortage of industrial sanitizers and specialty floor care products. Apparently, they've got a corporate inspection team arriving tomorrow for a full property evaluation, and their current supplies won't last through the weekend. The Marriott Tempe Mission Palms represented one of Morrison Supply's most prestigious accounts, worth over $180,000 annually, and serving as a reference client for other hospitality properties throughout the region. Their facilities management team had always been professional and reasonable in their requests, making this emergency situation particularly concerning from both operational and relationship perspectives. "What's their current inventory status?" I asked, already accessing our customer database to review recent delivery patterns and outstanding orders. The Marriott typically maintained sophisticated inventory management practices that prevented emergency shortage situations, making this request unusual and potentially indicative of broader supply chain problems. Carlos consulted his notes before responding. "They're showing critical shortages in 3 categories: hospital-grade disinfectants for guest room sanitization, specialized marble cleaner for their lobby and common areas, and industrial carpet extraction chemicals for their conference facilities. Normal lead time from our primary vendors would be 5 to 7 business days, but they need everything delivered by tomorrow afternoon." The timing created multiple complications beyond simple logistics coordination. Hospital-grade disinfectants required special handling and documentation due to EPA regulations. Specialized marble cleaners were available from only 2 approved vendors who typically required advance notice for large orders. And industrial carpet chemicals needed compatibility verification to avoid damaging the Marriott's expensive flooring installations. "Have you contacted our primary vendors about expedited delivery options?" I inquired, already knowing the answer would be problematic given the timeline and product specifications involved. "That's where it gets complicated," Carlos replied grimly. "Our main disinfectant supplier has a production backlog due to equipment maintenance issues. The marble cleaner manufacturer is dealing with a raw materials shortage that's affecting their entire Southwest distribution network. And the carpet chemical vendor requires 72-hour advance notice for orders exceeding $5,000. The convergence of these supply chain challenges wasn't coincidental but reflected broader industry disruptions that had been developing throughout the summer months. Raw materials shortages, manufacturing delays, and transportation bottlenecks were affecting multiple product categories simultaneously, creating exactly the kind of complex crisis that traditional inventory management approaches couldn't address effectively. I had observed early indicators of these supply chain problems several weeks earlier while reviewing vendor performance data and delivery reliability metrics. Order fulfillment rates had declined across multiple suppliers, lead times had increased unpredictably, and substitute product availability had become increasingly limited. However, my attempts to discuss these trends during monthly operations meetings had been dismissed as unnecessary concern about statistical variations. "What's Rachel's assessment of the situation?" I asked. knowing she would need to coordinate client communication and relationship management while we addressed the operational challenges. Carlos's expression shifted slightly, indicating additional complications beyond supply chain logistics. She's in Sacramento this week working on the university contract expansion, and Tom's at the equipment trade show in Las Vegas. The facilities manager at the Marriott specifically requested to speak with senior management about contingency plans, but we're operating with limited authority to make commitments about alternative solutions. The absence of both Tom and Rachel during this crisis created decision-making constraints that could jeopardize our response effectiveness. The Marriott's facilities manager would expect senior-level engagement and authoritative commitments about delivery guarantees, pricing considerations, and quality assurance protocols. Without proper authority to negotiate alternative arrangements, we risked appearing unprofessional and unreliable. Have you been able to reach Rachel by phone to discuss potential solutions? I continued, already formulating alternative approaches that might address the immediate crisis while maintaining long-term relationship integrity. I left messages on both her cell phone and hotel voicemail, but she's probably in meetings all morning with the University Procurement Committee, Carlos explained. Tom's phone is going straight to voicemail, which usually means he's on the trade show floor where reception is terrible. The communication challenges meant that immediate decision-making authority would fall to me, despite my official role as inventory coordinator rather than senior management. While I possessed extensive knowledge about vendor capabilities, alternative suppliers, and expedited delivery options, I lacked formal authorization to commit Morrison Supply to extraordinary measures that might involve premium pricing or non-standard service arrangements. However, the Marriott crisis also represented exactly the kind of complex facilities management challenge that Cleantech Solutions had been designed to address systematically. The platform's vendor network integration capabilities could identify alternative suppliers with available inventory. Predictive analytics could have anticipated the supply chain disruptions weeks in advance, and automated coordination features could streamline the emergency procurement process. Let me make some calls to identify alternative sourcing options while you continue trying to reach Rachel and Tom, I suggested, recognizing that successful crisis resolution would require both immediate problem-solving and strategic relationship management. The next 3 hours involved intensive coordination with 7 different suppliers, 2 specialty chemical distributors, and a logistics company that specialized in expedited commercial deliveries. The process revealed both the complexity of modern supply chain management and the limitations of Morrison Supply's current vendor relationship structure. Our primary disinfectant supplier confirmed their production delays but suggested an alternative manufacturer in Tucson, whose products met identical EPA specifications and had available inventory. However, this vendor required new account setup procedures that typically took 2 weeks, unless Morrison Supply could provide financial guarantees and quality assurance documentation on an expedited basis. The specialized marble cleaner presented even greater challenges, as the manufacturer's raw material shortage affected their entire product line indefinitely. However, a specialty cleaning distributor in Albuquerque carried an equivalent product from an Italian manufacturer that had recently received FDA approval for commercial hospitality applications. The pricing was 35% higher than our standard supplier, but the product specifications actually exceeded the Marriott's requirements. Industrial carpet extraction chemicals proved most problematic due to compatibility requirements and the Marriott-specific flooring installations. 3 different manufacturers offered potentially suitable products, but none could guarantee compatibility without on-site testing that would require at least 48 hours. The risk of chemical reactions that could damage expensive carpeting made this category too dangerous for emergency substitution. By noon, I had assembled a comprehensive alternative sourcing plan that could address 2 of the 3 shortage categories, while minimizing risks and maintaining quality standards. The financial implications included approximately $2,800 in premium pricing and expedited delivery charges, but the total represented less than 2% of the Marriott's annual contract value. The carpet chemical shortage remained unresolved, requiring either delayed delivery or acceptance of compatibility risks that could result in significant property damage. This decision required senior management involvement due to both financial liability and relationship management implications. Carlos had finally reached Rachel by phone around 12:30, explaining the crisis situation and our preliminary research into alternative solutions. Her response reflected both appreciation for our initiative and concern about the decision-making authority required to finalize emergency procurement arrangements. She wants to review all the details before authorizing anything that involves premium pricing or non-standard suppliers, Carlos reported after ending their conversation. She's flying back this afternoon and will be available for a conference call with the Marriott's facilities manager at 4 o'clock. The timeline created additional pressure, as several alternative suppliers required confirmation by mid-afternoon to guarantee delivery by the following day. Delaying decisions until Rachel's return risked losing access to the limited inventory sources we had identified, potentially transforming a manageable crisis into a complete service failure. Did you explain the timing constraints and availability limitations to Rachel? I asked, concerned that remote decision-making might not account for the dynamic nature of emergency supply coordination. I tried to explain everything, but she seemed focused on avoiding commitments that might establish precedents for future emergency situations, Carlos replied. She specifically mentioned concerns about setting expectations that Morrison Supply could always resolve supply chain problems through premium-priced alternatives. Rachel's caution reflected legitimate business considerations about operational sustainability and client expectations, but it also demonstrated limited understanding of supply chain dynamics and crisis management principles. Emergency situations required rapid decision-making based on incomplete information, accepting calculated risks to preserve critical relationships and prevent larger problems. The carpet chemical dilemma remained unresolved as afternoon approached, requiring a decision that balanced immediate client needs against potential property damage liability. My analysis suggested 3 possible approaches: accepting a 48-hour delay for proper compatibility testing, proceeding with the most likely compatible alternative and assuming responsibility for any damage, or identifying temporary cleaning protocols that could address the Marriott's immediate needs without requiring specialized chemicals. Each option carried different risk profiles and relationship implications. Delaying delivery might satisfy the corporate inspection requirements, but could damage our reputation for emergency responsiveness. Proceeding with untested chemicals could create catastrophic financial liability if chemical reactions damaged expensive flooring. Temporary protocols might address immediate needs, but could appear unprofessional to sophisticated facilities management teams. The decision ultimately required senior management authorization due to potential financial exposure and strategic precedent implications. However, my research had revealed that similar crises were becoming increasingly common throughout the industry, suggesting that Morrison Supply needed systematic approaches to supply chain disruption management rather than ad hoc emergency responses. Cleantech solutions had been designed specifically to address these kinds of complex coordination challenges through predictive analytics, vendor network integration, and automated alternative sourcing capabilities. The platform could have identified potential supply chain disruptions weeks in advance, maintained real-time visibility into alternative supplier inventory levels, and streamlined emergency procurement processes through pre-established vendor relationships. The irony wasn't lost on me that I had developed exactly the technological capabilities needed to prevent and resolve this crisis, but organizational dynamics prevented me from suggesting Cleantech solutions as a potential strategic asset for Morrison Supply's operations. At 3 o'clock, Rachel called from Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport to discuss the situation in greater detail before her scheduled conference call with the Marriott. Our conversation provided an opportunity to present comprehensive analysis and recommend specific courses of action based on the research I had conducted throughout the day. I've identified viable alternatives for the disinfectants and marble cleaners that can be delivered tomorrow with minimal premium pricing, I explained, providing detailed specifications and cost comparisons for each option. The carpet chemicals remain problematic due to compatibility requirements, but I've developed 3 alternative approaches that balance immediate needs against potential risks. Rachel listened carefully to my analysis, asking detailed questions about supplier reliability, product specifications, and financial implications. Her responses demonstrated both analytical capability and appropriate caution about commitments that could establish expensive precedents for future emergency situations. This level of alternative sourcing research is impressive, Jake, she acknowledged with what seemed like genuine surprise. How were you able to identify these suppliers and coordinate pricing information so quickly? I thought most of our vendor relationships were handled through established channels. Her question highlighted exactly the kind of expertise that I couldn't easily explain without revealing my extensive facilities management research and clean tech solutions development work. My knowledge of alternative suppliers, emergency procurement protocols, and industry best practices had been acquired through months of platform development rather than traditional Morrison Supply operations. I've been researching industry trends and vendor capabilities as part of our operational improvement initiatives, I replied, which was technically accurate but deliberately incomplete. Understanding alternative sourcing options seems important for managing supply chain risks and maintaining service reliability. The explanation satisfied Rachel's immediate curiosity while positioning my expertise as emerging from legitimate business analysis rather than unexplained external knowledge. However, the conversation reinforced my growing recognition that maintaining separation between my Morrison Supply role and clean tech solutions expertise was becoming increasingly difficult and potentially counterproductive. The conference call with the Marriott's facilities manager proceeded professionally, with Rachel demonstrating effective client relationship management while I provided technical details about alternative solutions and delivery logistics. The client appreciated our comprehensive research and rapid response, ultimately accepting our recommendations for disinfectants and marble cleaners while agreeing to delay carpet chemical delivery for proper compatibility testing. The crisis resolution preserved the relationship and demonstrated Morrison Supply's commitment to customer service excellence, but it also revealed fundamental limitations in our supply chain management capabilities and emergency response procedures. Without systematic approaches to vendor diversification, inventory monitoring, and alternative sourcing, similar crises would continue requiring manual intervention and premium-priced emergency measures. As the day concluded, I reflected on how differently the situation might have been handled, with proper technological infrastructure and predictive analytics capabilities. Clean tech solutions could have prevented the crisis entirely through early warning systems and automated vendor coordination, while providing systematic approaches to alternative sourcing that didn't require manual research and ad hoc relationship building. The Marriott incident crystallized my understanding that Morrison Supply needed exactly the technological capabilities I had been developing through clean tech solutions. But organizational dynamics and family relationships prevented me from proposing the platform as a strategic solution. Instead, I would continue addressing symptoms through manual intervention, while watching preventable crises strain relationships and create unnecessary operational stress. That evening in my workshop, I documented the entire crisis response process as a case study for CleanTech Solutions' value proposition. The incident demonstrated precisely why commercial facilities needed integrated technology platforms that could predict supply chain disruptions, coordinate alternative sourcing automatically, and maintain vendor relationships systematically rather than reactively. The case study would become powerful sales material for prospective clean tech solutions clients, showing concrete examples of how technological integration could prevent expensive crises and strengthen customer relationships. However, using Morrison Supply's operational challenges to develop competing business opportunities created ethical tensions that I was finding increasingly difficult to justify or resolve. The workshop transformation had begun immediately after the Marriott crisis, driven by my recognition that manual intervention could only address operational challenges reactively rather than systematically. That weekend, while Emily worked her regular shifts at Phoenix Children's Hospital, I completely reconfigured the converted pottery studio into a proper development environment capable of supporting serious software engineering work. The first priority involved upgrading internet connectivity from residential broadband to business-class fiber service that could handle large file transfers, video conferences, and cloud computing requirements without interruption. The installation required coordination with the Homeowners Association and careful routing of cables to avoid disrupting our neighbors, but the resulting bandwidth capacity matched what most established software companies maintained for their development teams. Professional-grade computing equipment followed quickly, including 3 large monitors for complex interface design work, a high-performance workstation capable of running multiple virtual machines simultaneously, and backup systems that could prevent data loss during Arizona's frequent summer thunderstorms. The total investment exceeded $15,000, funded through savings from my Morrison Supply salary, and justified as infrastructure for expanding my technology consulting activities. The physical workspace required systematic organization to support both software development and business operations effectively. One wall became dedicated to whiteboard space, where I could diagram system architectures, map user workflows, and brainstorm solutions to complex integration challenges. Another area housed reference materials, industry publications, and printed documentation that supported platform development and market research activities. Storage systems maintained separation between Morrison Supply Materials and Clean Tech Solutions development work, ensuring that confidential information remained properly compartmentalized while providing easy access to frequently referenced documents. The organizational approach reflected lessons learned from observing Carlos's warehouse management techniques, applied to intellectual rather than physical inventory coordination. Security considerations became paramount as Clean Tech Solutions evolved beyond experimental project toward commercial software platform. Encrypted storage systems protected proprietary algorithms and client data from unauthorized access, while virtual private network connections ensured secure communication with external servers and development resources. The security infrastructure rivaled what many established companies maintained for protecting sensitive business information. The development methodology I adopted emphasized rapid prototyping and iterative improvement based on user feedback rather than extensive upfront planning and design work. This approach allowed faster response to market needs and client requirements, while minimizing investment in features that might prove unnecessary or incorrectly designed. Initial platform architecture focused on core functionality that could demonstrate immediate value to facilities managers rather than comprehensive feature sets that might overwhelm new users. The primary modules addressed inventory tracking, vendor coordination, and basic predictive analytics, with expansion capabilities built into the system foundation for future enhancement. Database design proved particularly challenging due to the need for integrating information from multiple external sources while maintaining data integrity and access performance. Commercial facilities used dozens of different software systems for accounting, maintenance scheduling, and vendor management, requiring Clean Tech Solutions to accommodate various data formats and communication protocols. User interface development emphasized simplicity and intuitive navigation over comprehensive functionality, recognizing that busy facilities managers needed immediate access to critical information without extensive training or technical expertise. The design philosophy prioritized clarity and efficiency over visual sophistication, ensuring that practical utility remained the platform's primary strength. Testing procedures involved both automated system validation and real-world usage scenarios, with volunteer facilities managers who agreed to provide feedback about functionality and usability. This dual approach identified both technical bugs and practical limitations that might not be apparent through code analysis alone. Dr. Michelle Park's introduction to the project occurred through a professional networking event focused on healthcare facilities management challenges. She had presented research about operational inefficiencies that were increasing costs and compromising patient care quality throughout the region, identifying exactly the problems that Clean Tech Solutions was designed to address. Her initial skepticism about software developed by a single person working from a home workshop gave way to genuine enthusiasm as she reviewed the platform's capabilities and examined beta testing results. Most facilities management software is developed by people who have never actually managed facilities, she observed during our first extended conversation. Your approach seems to understand practical challenges from an operational perspective rather than just theoretical knowledge. Dr. Park's endorsement provided credibility that accelerated client acquisition efforts and validated the platform's market positioning. Her reputation throughout the Southwest healthcare community opened doors to potential clients who might otherwise be reluctant to consider software from an unknown startup company. The partnership that developed with Dr. Park involved consulting arrangements where she would recommend Clean Tech Solutions to appropriate clients, while I provided technical expertise for her broader facilities management consulting projects. This relationship created mutual value while establishing industry connections that supported platform development and market expansion. Client acquisition strategies emphasized direct outreach to facilities managers rather than broad marketing campaigns, recognizing that decision-makers in this market responded better to personal relationships and demonstrated value than advertising or promotional materials. Each potential client received customized presentations that addressed their specific operational challenges and showed how Clean Tech Solutions could provide measurable improvements. The sales process typically involved 3 phases: initial assessment of client needs and current systems, demonstration of relevant platform capabilities through live or simulated scenarios, and pilot implementation arrangements that allowed evaluation of actual results before committing to long-term contracts. Pricing strategies reflected the need to establish market credibility while generating sufficient revenue to support continued development and growth. Initial contracts were deliberately modest to reduce client risk and encourage adoption, with pricing increases planned as the platform proved its value and expanded its capabilities. Revenue projections remained conservative throughout the first year, focusing on sustainability and client satisfaction rather than rapid growth or maximum profitability. The priority was building a foundation of successful implementations that could support expansion efforts and provide reference credibility for larger client acquisitions. Financial management systems tracked all business expenses and revenue streams separately from personal finances, maintaining clear documentation for tax purposes and potential investor discussions. The accounting approach reflected lessons learned from observing Morrison Supply's financial controls while incorporating best practices for startup businesses. Legal considerations included intellectual property protection through patent applications and trademark registrations, liability insurance for software errors or data security breaches, and contract templates that protected both clean tech solutions and client interests. Professional legal counsel provided guidance about regulatory compliance and risk management strategies. The first paying client emerged from Dr. Park's professional network, when Phoenix Convention Center's facilities manager agreed to pilot the platform for managing their complex cleaning and maintenance operations. The 6-month contract provided $15,000 in revenue, while offering opportunities to refine functionality based on real-world usage patterns. Convention center implementation required extensive customization due to the unique challenges of managing facilities that hosted hundreds of different events with varying setup requirements, attendance levels, and cleaning specifications. The project pushed CleanTech Solutions' capabilities beyond standard commercial properties toward more sophisticated predictive analytics and automated coordination features. Technical challenges included integrating with the convention center's existing event management systems, accommodating rapid changes in space utilization and cleaning requirements, and coordinating with multiple vendor categories beyond traditional cleaning supplies. The complexity provided valuable learning opportunities while demonstrating the platform's adaptability to specialized operational environments. User training involved both formal instruction sessions and ongoing support, as facilities staff adapted to new workflows and technology interfaces. The process revealed areas where the platform's design assumptions didn't match real-world usage patterns, leading to interface modifications and feature enhancements that improved usability. Performance metrics from the convention center implementation exceeded initial projections, showing 23% reduction in emergency supply orders, 15% decrease in overall inventory costs, and measurable improvements in vendor coordination efficiency. These results provided concrete evidence of the platform's value proposition for prospective clients. The success with Phoenix Convention Center generated referral opportunities and industry recognition that accelerated CleanTech Solutions' growth trajectory. Word-of-mouth recommendations from respected facilities managers carried more credibility than traditional marketing approaches in a market where professional relationships and proven results determined purchasing decisions. The notification chimed on my phone at exactly 6:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning in late September, displaying a payment confirmation that would fundamentally alter my understanding of what CleanTech Solutions could become. Phoenix Convention Center had just processed their first monthly subscription payment of $2,500, representing not just revenue but validation that a real organization was willing to pay for software I had developed alone in my converted workshop. I sat in my Honda Civic in the Morrison Supply parking lot, staring at the payment notification while employees began arriving for their regular shifts. The contrast between my aging vehicle and the sleek BMW SUVs driven by senior staff members had never felt more symbolic. While they focused on maintaining existing operations and incremental improvements, I had created something that generated more monthly revenue than most Morrison Supply employees earned in overtime compensation. The payment confirmation triggered a cascade of emotions that I hadn't anticipated. Pride in creating something valuable enough that professionals would commit their organization's budget to acquiring it. Relief that months of evening and weekend development work had produced measurable financial returns. anxiety about maintaining the secrecy that protected both my family relationships and my emerging business opportunity. But underneath these immediate reactions lay a deeper recognition that cleantech solutions had crossed an invisible threshold, from experimental project to legitimate business venture. Organizations don't pay $2,500 monthly subscriptions for hobby software or theoretical concepts. They invest in platforms that solve real problems and deliver measurable value to their operations. The convention center's facilities manager, Janet Rodriguez, had called the previous Friday to confirm their decision to continue beyond the initial pilot period. Her enthusiasm about the platform's impact on their operations provided insights that went far beyond simple customer satisfaction metrics. Before Cleantech Solutions, I spent 3 hours every morning trying to coordinate cleaning schedules with event requirements and vendor availability, Janet had explained during our phone conversation. Now the system automatically adjusts supply levels based on confirmed bookings, weather forecasts, and historical usage patterns. I can focus on strategic planning instead of constantly fighting logistical fires. Her description of transformation from reactive crisis management to proactive strategic planning resonated deeply with my own frustrations at Morrison Supply. The same technological capabilities that were revolutionizing Phoenix Convention Center's operations could address identical challenges throughout the commercial facilities management industry. The financial implications of sustained monthly revenue extended beyond immediate cash flow to validate the business model assumptions underlying cleantech solutions development. If one client found sufficient value to justify $2,500 monthly investment, similar organizations facing comparable challenges would likely reach equivalent conclusions about the platform's worth. Market research conducted through professional networking and industry publications suggested that thousands of commercial facilities throughout the Southwest region struggled with similar coordination challenges, vendor management inefficiencies, and inventory optimization problems. The total addressable market represented millions in potential annual recurring revenue if cleantech solutions could demonstrate value consistently across different property types and operational environments. However, scaling beyond the initial client required systematic approaches to sales, marketing, and customer support that went far beyond what I could manage while maintaining my Morrison Supply responsibilities. Success would demand either full-time commitment to cleantech solutions or strategic partnerships that could provide market access and operational support. The timing created additional complexity because Rachel's promotion to Customer Success Manager had increased her oversight of operational efficiency initiatives at Morrison Supply. Her new responsibilities included identifying opportunities for cost reduction and process improvement, precisely the areas where cleantech solutions offered the most compelling value propositions. During our next scheduled inventory review meeting, Rachel's questions about vendor coordination and supply chain optimization became more specific and analytically sophisticated. She had clearly been researching facilities management best practices and industry benchmarking studies, developing expertise that overlapped significantly with cleantech solutions' core competencies. I've been reviewing our vendor performance metrics and delivery reliability data, Rachel announced as she reviewed spreadsheets containing information I had prepared for her analysis. There seemed to be opportunities for significant efficiency improvements through better coordination of ordering schedules, inventory level optimization, and alternative supplier relationships. Her observations were entirely accurate and reflected exactly the kind of systematic analysis that had informed cleantech solutions development. However, providing detailed responses to her questions required careful navigation between helpful collaboration and potentially revealing expertise that couldn't be easily explained through my official role at Morrison Supply. Those are definitely areas where systematic approaches could generate measurable improvements, I acknowledged, deliberately keeping my response general rather than specific. Industry publications suggest that many organizations are exploring technology solutions for supply chain coordination and predictive analytics. Rachel's expression sharpened with interest at my mention of technology solutions and industry trends. What specific publications have you been reading? And do you have insights about which technology approaches might be most applicable to our operational challenges? The questioning pushed directly into territory where my cleantech solutions expertise could provide valuable guidance but would require explanations about knowledge sources that didn't align with my perceived capabilities or responsibilities. I had developed comprehensive understanding of facilities management technology through months of market research, client interactions, and platform development, but sharing that expertise would inevitably generate uncomfortable questions. I've been following Facilities Management Weekly and the International Facility Management Association research reports, I replied truthfully, though not mentioning the more specialized sources that informed my deeper expertise. The general trend seems to be toward integrated platforms that combine inventory management, vendor coordination, and predictive analytics rather than separate systems for each function. Her follow-up questions demonstrated both genuine curiosity and strategic thinking about Morrison Supply's competitive positioning. Do you think we should evaluate some of these integrated platforms for potential implementation? Our current systems seem outdated compared to what competitors might be offering to clients. The irony of Rachel asking my opinion about exactly the type of technology platform I had developed in secret created internal tension that was becoming increasingly difficult to manage. Cleantech Solutions could address every operational challenge she had identified, while providing competitive advantages that could strengthen Morrison Supply's market position significantly. Evaluation would probably make sense, I agreed carefully, though implementation of enterprise software typically requires significant investment in training, system integration, and workflow modification. The decision would need senior management buy-in and careful planning to avoid disrupting current operations. My response provided reasonable guidance while avoiding specific recommendations that might reveal deeper expertise or create pressure for me to participate in vendor evaluation processes that could expose Cleantech Solutions. However, the conversation reinforced my growing recognition that maintaining separation between my Morrison Supply role and platform development work was becoming increasingly problematic. The second validation milestone occurred when Desert Vista Medical Center's procurement director contacted me directly to discuss expanding their Cleantech Solutions implementation beyond the pilot departments where initial testing had occurred. Their positive experience with inventory optimization and vendor coordination had generated interest from other facility management teams within their healthcare system. We're seeing 28% reduction in supply shortages and 19% improvement in vendor delivery reliability since implementing your platform in the Surgical Services Division, explained Maria Santos during our scheduled phone call. The executive team wants to understand costs and timeline for system-wide deployment across all facility management operations. The expansion opportunity represented potential contract value exceeding $40,000 annually, while providing reference credibility for other healthcare organizations considering similar technology investments. However, managing a full enterprise implementation would require project management capabilities, technical support resources, and client relationship coordination that extended far beyond what I could provide through evening and weekend availability. Desert Vista's interest also validated Cleantech Solutions' adaptability to complex regulatory environments, where compliance requirements, quality standards, and operational protocols created additional technical challenges. Healthcare facilities management involved specialized considerations that tested the platform's flexibility and integration capabilities more rigorously than conventional commercial properties. The procurement process at Desert Vista required comprehensive documentation about data security protocols, regulatory compliance capabilities, and technical support availability that exceeded what most startup software companies could provide. Meeting their requirements necessitated professional legal consultation, cybersecurity assessments, and service-level commitments that formalized Cleantech Solutions as a legitimate enterprise software provider. Working with healthcare procurement teams also provided education about sales processes and contract negotiation strategies that would be essential for expanding into other market segments. The experience taught valuable lessons about organizational decision-making dynamics, risk assessment criteria, and performance measurement approaches that influenced purchasing decisions. The third validation occurred through completely unexpected channels, when Dr. Michelle Park forwarded an email from colleagues at University of Arizona who had heard about Cleantech Solutions through professional networking conversations. The university's facilities management team was struggling with coordination challenges across their sprawling campus environment and wanted to explore technology solutions that could improve efficiency while reducing costs. Your platform's approach to predictive analytics and vendor integration could address exactly the problems we've been discussing at facilities management conferences, Dr. Park explained during our follow-up conversation. University environments present unique challenges because of seasonal occupancy variations, diverse facility types, and complex approval processes. But the fundamental coordination problems are identical to what you've solved for commercial properties. The university opportunity represented a different market segment with distinct operational characteristics regulatory requirements, and budget consideration processes. Educational institutions typically required more extensive evaluation periods, involved multiple stakeholders in decision-making, and operated under public procurement regulations that created additional complexity for vendor selection processes. However, universities also offered opportunities for larger-scale implementations that could demonstrate cleantech solutions capabilities across diverse facility types, including dormitories, dining facilities, laboratory buildings, recreational centers, and administrative offices. Success in higher education could provide reference credibility for other educational institutions, while validating the platform's scalability to complex operational environments. The University of Arizona evaluation process required detailed responses to technical questionnaires about system architecture, data integration capabilities, and ongoing support arrangements. Meeting their requirements demanded more sophisticated documentation and professional presentation materials than previous client interactions, pushing cleantech solutions toward enterprise software standards. Financial validation accompanied operational validation as monthly recurring revenue approached $8,000 by October, with 3 active client implementations and 2 additional prospects in advanced evaluation stages. The revenue trajectory suggested annual projections exceeding $100,000 within 12 months, assuming continued client acquisition and minimal customer churn rates. More importantly, client retention rates remained at 100%, with existing customers consistently reporting measurable improvements in operational efficiency, cost reduction, and vendor relationship management. The combination of financial sustainability and proven value delivery created foundation for systematic growth and market expansion efforts. Customer success metrics provided quantitative validation of cleantech solutions' value proposition across different organizational types and operational challenges. Phoenix Convention Center reported 31% reduction in emergency supply orders and 22% improvement in vendor delivery reliability. Desert Vista Medical Center documented 19% decrease in inventory carrying costs and 25% reduction in procurement administrative time. University of Arizona's pilot implementation showed 33% improvement in maintenance supply coordination and 18% reduction in overall facility management expenses. These results represented more than statistical improvements. They demonstrated cleantech solutions' ability to transform facilities management from reactive problem-solving to proactive optimization across different industries and organizational structures. The consistency of positive outcomes suggested that the platform addressed fundamental challenges rather than organization-specific problems. Industry recognition began emerging through professional publication features and conference presentation opportunities. Facilities Management Weekly published an article highlighting cleantech solutions as an innovative approach to supply chain coordination challenges, describing the platform's predictive analytics capabilities and integration features as representing significant advancement over traditional inventory management systems. The publication coverage generated inquiries from facilities managers throughout the Southwest region, who had struggled with similar operational challenges and were interested in exploring technology solutions. The media attention validated cleantech solutions' market positioning, while creating sales opportunities that exceeded my capacity to manage effectively through part-time availability. Professional conference organizers invited me to present cleantech solutions at industry events focused on facilities management innovation and technology adoption. The speaking opportunities provided marketing exposure and credibility building that would have been impossible to achieve through traditional advertising or promotional approaches. However, accepting speaking engagements required public identification as cleantech solutions founder and primary developer, making it increasingly difficult to maintain secrecy about my role in developing competing technology while employed at Morrison Supply. The professional recognition that validated the platform's success also created risks of discovery that could complicate family relationships and employment situation. Client testimonials and case study documentation provided powerful marketing materials that supported expansion efforts while demonstrating measurable value delivery to prospective customers. The combination of quantitative results and qualitative feedback created compelling narratives about operational transformation that resonated with facilities managers facing similar challenges. Janet Rodriguez from Phoenix Convention Center became particularly valuable as a reference client, providing detailed testimonials about cleantech solutions' impact on their operational efficiency and strategic planning capabilities. Her willingness to participate in sales calls and case study interviews supported client acquisition efforts while providing credible third-party validation of the platform's effectiveness. The reference relationships that developed with early clients created network effects that accelerated market expansion opportunities. Satisfied customers recommended clean tech solutions to professional colleagues, generated introductions to potential prospects, and provided credibility that supported sales efforts in competitive evaluation processes. By November, the accumulated validation evidence had transformed clean tech solutions from experimental software project to proven business opportunity with sustainable revenue, satisfied customers, and expanding market recognition. The platform had demonstrated its ability to solve real problems for diverse organizations while generating sufficient financial returns to support continued development and growth. However, the success also intensified the contradiction between my emerging identity as a successful technology entrepreneur and my continued role as Morrison Supply's inventory coordinator. The expertise required to develop clean tech solutions far exceeded what my official position would suggest, creating increasingly difficult explanations for knowledge that couldn't be credibly attributed to routine inventory management responsibilities. The validation of clean tech solutions' market value and operational effectiveness forced recognition that the platform represented more than supplemental income or professional development opportunity. It had become a legitimate business venture with potential for significant growth and industry impact, requiring decisions about professional priorities and strategic commitment that would fundamentally affect both my career trajectory and family relationships. The evening after receiving University of Arizona's formal contract proposal, worth $65,000 annually for comprehensive campus facility management system implementation, I sat in my workshop contemplating the implications of success I hadn't fully anticipated when development began. Cleantech Solutions had proven its value proposition convincingly, but capitalizing on that validation would require choices about transparency, professional commitment, and family relationships that I could no longer postpone indefinitely. The conversion from secret project to validated business opportunity had occurred more rapidly and convincingly than initial projections suggested possible. Market demand for facilities management technology exceeded what conservative estimates had indicated, customer satisfaction rates surpassed optimistic targets, and financial returns provided foundation for sustainable growth and expansion. Yet the professional and personal implications of success created new challenges that hadn't existed during the development phase, when cleantech solutions remained theoretical rather than demonstrably valuable. Validation had transformed a manageable secret into a significant opportunity that demanded recognition, commitment, and transparency that could fundamentally alter existing relationships and professional arrangements. The workshop that had served as development laboratory and business headquarters would soon become inadequate for the client support requirements, team collaboration needs, and professional meeting spaces that growth would demand. Success would require evolution from hidden project to legitimate business operation, with corresponding changes in commitment, visibility, and strategic priority that could no longer be concealed indefinitely. As I reviewed financial projections and market opportunity assessments that evening, calculating potential revenue growth and expansion scenarios, the fundamental question was no longer whether cleantech solutions could succeed commercially. The validation evidence demonstrated market demand, operational effectiveness, and financial viability convincingly. The question had become whether I possessed the courage to claim success publicly and accept the consequences that transparency would bring to family relationships, employment arrangements, and professional identity. The transition from secret validation to public recognition would require systematic planning and careful consideration of timing, communication strategies, and relationship management approaches that could preserve valuable connections while enabling cleantech solutions to achieve its demonstrated potential. The success that validated my capabilities and market insights also created obligations to clients, opportunities, and professional relationships that extended far beyond personal achievement or family recognition. Validation had transformed cleantech solutions from personal project to industry responsibility, requiring decisions about transparency and commitment that would define both the platform's future and my own professional identity for years to come. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.